To the bottom of Antigua Shipyard, we have our Protoss player in the red color starting for FXOpen.
FXOpen!
The player with the shortest nickname in GSL history.
Well, there's also SC, so they're tied.
Yeah, but he actually skips on the O.
Oh, it's true. He just uses his team.
His opponent, starting for the Slayers team, that we haven't seen him in ages, is
Slayers Cooker!
So we have our second ZVP, and in regards to the strategies that we usually see, this is a little bit similar to what we were expecting on Daybreak. Zerg players trying to take the third very early on, and for the Protoss, it's a choice between two-base aggression and trying to secure a third base, which is definitely possible on this map, but especially with all those bases, with the surroundings and everything, Mutalisks are a lot stronger on this particular map than they were in the last engagement. So I'm pretty interested to see what Oz is up to. If he's trying to go for the two-base pressure. We mentioned a couple of strategies that he could pull off in the game between Lucky and Puzzle already. Blinkstalker play with +2 attack, just a normal gateway timing with +1, or trying to hit with the 4 gates and 1 Stargate. On the other hand, Koka has to defend his 3 bases. He's definitely going to take a second one very soon. He's already building his spawning pool, so we will hit Gaslas expand.
And the expansion does get blocked.
Probably building a pylon as well.
He might, yeah.
Oh, he's going for the Nexus first.
He knows that the pool is out, so he might not build a pylon after all. We're going to see. But yeah, Nexus going down very, very quickly. And partly that's because he knows it's cross position, so he knows it's even farther away. And he knows that Koka doesn't really know where he is yet.
He couldn't place down a pylon because he was investing all his minerals into the Nexus first, and when he finally had 100 minerals once again, it was already too late because the Zerglings were already in the production queue, and of course Oz knows about these timings, so there was just no reason for him to really sacrifice those minerals, especially because he has to wall off. There was no drone scout for Koka, he only sent out his Overlord.
Yep, and his Overlord is going to arrive at
the scene
Oz's
of the crime.
base. The scene of the crime. He's going to see exactly what's going on. Only made just a handful of Zerglings, and a handful, of course, means 4. Fit 4 Zerglings in your hand. Little known fact. And so he's not going to be able to do anything about this greedy move by Oz. Oz has decided to wall off at his ramp, by the way, which means it's a little bit more defensible against ground attacks, but it means that those cannons will not be in the best position against, say, Mutalisks later on.
Cancels the pylon, exactly what he should do. We see a lot of players trying to just get the second gateway in order to completely wall off, then cancel the first gateway, sorry, not the first, but the second gateway as soon as the first one finishes, starting with a cybernetic score that we see now. Nice positioning, by the way, so he just makes sure that even if he gets busted, that the pylon is not the only thing standing between the Zerg players' forces and the natural.
Yeah, very smart. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how things are gonna go here. I was thinking, you were talking earlier about getting the third base versus pressuring off 2 bases, and on this map, we saw just the other day that we saw Ace get a very fast third as Protoss, trying to basically match the macro of his Zerg opponent. And when Mutalisks came out on this map, it's so easy to just dart into the main, into the third, into the natural with the Mutalisks. That makes it so hard to defend. And even before that, it's hard to defend multiple locations at once. They can bust down the rocks behind your natural expansion, etc. So probably we're going to see Oz go for a more traditional route and go for some kind of timing off the 2 bases, I would imagine. But who knows? One
thing that we see more often in this matchup that we've actually seen when Puzzle was playing against Lucky earlier, we've complained a lot about how Protoss players just refuse on 3 bases to build cannons in the mineral line, and by now they do it a lot more as soon as they detect that their opponent is going for Mutalisk, because it's just so much more cost efficient if you have 1 or 2 cannons in the mineral line. When the Zerg is committing a lot of Mutalisk pressure, you're always in the position that it's very, very hard to defend against it, especially when you're on 3 bases. So having a few cannons there will help you a lot and is very cost efficient if you can save your probes. 1 Overlord already died, and the second one is now being assailed by the Stalker, so he will be a supply block.
Is he gonna see the Twilight Council? It's so close, he does see it! Sees the Twilight Council at the last second, he even shows him one of those gateways. Puts down 2 more as well. So it looks like we're going to see him go for 4-gate Blink Stalkers at least to start off with.
+1 attack upgrade is nearly done yet. Yep, and there's the rest of the gates.
Yeah, oh, okay, there we go. Six gates is going to be the total shortly. So he's going to be going for some major aggression off of 2 bases.
+2 is on his way as well.
And this Stalker... Stalker's just running around, getting some Zergling kills, but he's going to need to go home pretty soon.
Let's talk a little bit about what Slayer's Koka is doing here, because I really think... By the way, he's just building a pylon directly underneath the Overlord, which is a little bit weird. But the one thing that I really like about Koka's play here is he started with the tech very soon and completed it already, so he's going straight for the Burrow upgrade. And Oz does not have any detection. He doesn't have any detection, so the problem for him is that as soon as the Blink Stalkers actually hit, the Burrow upgrade will be ready, and then he just can start to completely borrow his roaches up and down, regenerate on health points, and Oz will be in a position where he has to make damn sure that he is going to win the fight that he is engaging in. And I would not be surprised to see borrowed movement as well. Speed is done, we have roach speed prioritized, and also the infestation pit, so he's also going for fungal. I love what Koka is doing here.
That Stalker has been running around, running rampant, killing Zerglings, scouting the map for so long, and Koka finally said enough is enough and sent a horde of Zerglings after it. So that Stalker finally dies, but I like how Oz has pylons around the map, although one of them just got taken out at the top right that he planted underneath the Overlord that you mentioned earlier.
I would be kind of surprised if he... How many lava do we have? 20, so he saves lava up. He's now building roaches.
Yep.
This is too late. I feel like this is already too late. Burrow is done. We have the first infestors being built, and he's just now moving out.
This is actually... Yeah, it's interesting. He's actually making infestors without pathogen glands, so he's going to try and save up energy. But, yeah, Oz is moving out for a really strong timing right now. We have Puzzle going for a counterattack, but there's been a pylon put down to block that off. And we'll get a shot of it. There we go. He's warping in sentries and a zealot to further block that off. So even when the pylon goes down, he'll stop it. And here comes the timing attack. +2 weapons is on for those Stalkers. And they have Blink, and he is 15 roaches are in production, but he's going to lose this third at the very least.
The more important thing is he's supply block. That's the huge problem for him right now. He is supply block. He is attacking now with the roaches, but with the supply block he's facing a huge problem. And now it's starting to rebuild his units, as he already lost a few of them. But as you can see, all the Stalkers of Oz are now taking major damage, and he just can't do anything about it. This attack was way too late. Oz completely with wrong timing. Burrow being used, but the warp-in might just save the Protoss play here.
And this is really bad. Yeah, Puzzle sitting on 900 minerals and 800 gas for a while there with not enough units instead. That supply block may have hurt him. Now he's finally building units, but he still has money floating. He's still not using all of his money. And the problem is he doesn't have a macro hatchery. He doesn't have the larva to actually make enough units. He loses his third, which compounds the problem. I think that Puzzle might just go ahead and kill him here. I don't know what it is.
Oz.
Sorry, yes, Oz. Sorry about that. Wrong Protoss. Oz might just go ahead and kill him here. He is using that burrow very effectively to keep his roaches alive, heal them up again. But
even though it was a very, it was a strong push, Oz was kind of lucky in this situation. The run-by was not successful, and at the same time he had not all his units in place. When Oz was moving up the ramp, there were 2 Overlords that suddenly popped out at the third. They were immediately taken down by Oz. He supply blocked Koka, and Koka, he would have been so ready for this. The timing of Oz was a bit off here, and with all the tech that Koka already had, with his burrow, with his infestors, he would have been able to defend this, but he just could not build any additional units. He was just sitting there on his minerals and on his lava as well. He had everything except for the supply, and he was forced to attack with the units that he had. Pressured Oz quite a bit, but the last round of warp-in suddenly tipped the scales in favor of Oz again. And he is now completely... He's now playing it perfectly at this point. Oz is playing this very well now, but he got a little bit lucky here.
Yeah, well, lucky is maybe not a good word for FXO, since Lucky did lose, but... Anyway, no, you're perfectly right. He got a little bit lucky. But Oz just played that really nicely as well, but...
On the other hand, one could also say he timed it perfectly with the 2 Overlords popping out at the third base.
Yeah.
that he obviously didn't know about, but he focused on the Overlords immediately, and that supply blocked Koka.
Yeah. And by the way, we do know Koka, I mean, he's not panicking too much right now. We see him just kind of holding back, getting his Infestor upgrades, because he's got this Zergling at the third.
This is definitely not over. So he needs to, well, Oz needs to be careful here. This game is not over just yet. We have Lings roaming the map and trying to take down all the pylons that Oz built so far. And he's rebuilding his third now. He did not lose too many harvesters, so let's not forget about this. Only 5 drones were lost, and Koka was able to kill 5 probes.
And Koka actually warps in some zealots to save those pylons.
Contaminate on the robotics, which I really love.
Yeah.
Very cute move.
Those zealots will not last for long, though. Roaches are over there. And he's actually going to kill the pylons from the low ground. Or, yep. There he goes. Nice, burrowing the Lings so that they can't be defeated either.
There's another one though, and he just spots it, knows about the second pylon as well, takes it down, and we have a ton of infestors now. We actually have 10 of them, and the third base, it is up once again. Let's have a quick look at his lava.
He's making even more as well.
He doesn't have any lava. He needs to be very careful. In his main base, we've seen a macro hatch. Now he's on 4 hatcheries. He's not missing an inject, but at the same time, he needs to just drone up now.
He's actually missing some injects at his, expansions. So that's a little bit bad for him, since, you know, he's been having larva issues, but he doesn't have the money right now anyway. +3 is about half done for the Protoss ground army, but man, yeah, Koka's setting up for kind of a counterattack. I don't know if this is going to succeed though. He's got Blink, he's got Immortals, he's got
he does not have the
a lot of things
yet to sustain this.
Yeah, but I don't know if he has anything to deal with that many infestors though. If he gets off, he's got basically like 20 or 30 fungals ready.
He'll use Infested Swarm X for sure, in addition to the fungals, to pin the Stalkers to the ground. The Infestors are definitely a problem for him, but he has those Immortals in the bag as well. Nice force fields. And 3 bases. This is just such a huge threat for Koka, and this is exactly why he tries to expand now in the middle of the map. He's just trying to get a 4th. He knows fully well that this is not going to be easy for him. But Oz is pressured. Oz needs to be very careful here, and Koka takes the supply lead, but a lot of the supply is in Lings and Roaches, and we have a small attack of Zealots. Zealots at the 3rd base, but Lings will be ready to delay this push a little bit before the rest of the army arrives.
Oh, that Queen is running for her life, and she gets saved by the army of Koka coming back. Koka realized that he couldn't break Oz and turned around very wisely. Or not that he couldn't, but it would be very difficult to. So I like that move to just go ahead and say, all right, well, you want to sit at home with your concave? That's fine. I'll go ahead and take a base in the middle of the map instead.
And this base just finished, so we have a drone transfer into the middle now. The good thing about Koka's mindset here is that he is preparing for everything that his opponent can throw at him. We have already the transport upgrade for the Overlords. He's going for speed. He will see Baneling drops, and this is something that Oz might have a lot of trouble with. It depends on his ability to snipe down the Overlords. But as you can see, we also have +1 attack for the ground, +2 attack for range, the hive tech. Everything's going on for Koka, who's now expanding again. He's taking another base. And as soon as Oz moves out, Koka needs to try to flank his army. He needs to set up a huge flank positioning. Will be very important in the next fight.
That would be a really nice thing to do. That would be brilliant to set up a flank. There are Colossus in the mix now. Thermal Lance and the second Colossus is about to complete. And he may even get a 3rd Colossus with his last few supply. So that's going to be very difficult for him to deal with. He doesn't really have a lot to deal with. The Colossus right now, 4th base gets taken out pretty quickly, cancelled.
4th in the middle.
5th, I'm sorry, you're right.
So, yeah, he's still on 4, and the main bases are mined out, guys. The one thing that Oz also is going for him is the upgrade advantage. He's on 3 attack, if I'm not mistaken, and 1 armor, just researching +2 armor. But here comes Koka, who needs to be very careful against the death ball. And here are the bundles and the drops with the Banelings. Beautiful and very strong combination. Oz is dropping now in supply, but still he holds his own, and a lot of the army of Koka is in the bag still.
What is he doing? Koka sent in half of his army against the full army of Oz, and of course he got slaughtered. 8 infestors, a bunch of Zerglings sitting around doing nothing. There they are, slacking off. Those defectors may have lost Koka the game, because now Oz is marching across the middle of the map. He's going to take out this 4th base, and I have no idea why he didn't engage with his full army there.
Well, he bought a lot of time with it, so he was just trying to drop the Banelings on his opponent. He didn't have the Corruptors ready, and he was waiting for the Corruptors to fully engage Oz, which is exactly what he does right now. The Corruptors finally able to handle the Colossus, which poses a huge threat to the Zerg player, and Oz is dropping in supply. Koka is playing this so well, another set of fungal hits, and he's storming in with the rest of his army. So smart by Koka. This was beautiful, delaying Oz at the same time, doing a lot of pressure with the Baneling bombs and just getting enough time for his Corruptors. Well done. And the positioning was also great. He positioned his small force on top of the high ground, so Oz could not really spot everything, and then suddenly there was just Koka moving down with the fungals with his few infestors. I think he had 2. And this Colossus was a little bit over the position, just a tiny little bit.
It's still a close game because Koka did lose his 4th base. His natural is almost mined out, so Koka is only mining from 1 base right now. So is Oz, basically, as well. Oz still has a few more minerals at his natural. But
in this scenario,
we got some Baneling bombs ready to drop.
And he's distracting Oz at the same time.
Oh,
beautiful!
No! Banelings rolling! Oh, carpet bomb across the probe line. Kills tons of probes. Oh my gosh. Wow. Slayers, Koka taking out so many probes. Only 40 left for Oz now.
Just imagine here if Oz would not have been able to take down the 5th base of Koka. This game would be would have been over immediately after the fight. But now he's building 2 additional bases, and with those probe kills that he just got, he's already in a really good position. He is in the supply lead. We have him with 155 to 125. He's going for the Greater Spire now, so we will see also a few Brood Lords. There they are, 5 and more upgrades. And there's still this pylon, this one pylon that is not taken down at the 5th base, and he warps in units again, spots the 5th, and might be able to attack it.
Yeah, but Koka is in really good shape here. He has the Greater Spire. Notice he's upgrading +3 +3 attack for his air units. And hold that thought, actually, because he's going in at the 4th base.
Needs to wait
or
for the rest of his army, and there it is, coming in from the middle. Here are the Brood Lords.
There's the Brood Lords. He blinks away defensively. He's trying to spread out here. He wants to blink underneath and kill those. He does, but the Fungals land on top of his entire army. Corruptors are going to easily take out that Colossus very quickly, but Fungals and Terrans have been cast all over the Protoss army. So many infested Terrans are about to pop out. Will they polish off the last of the Stalkers? No, they won't! Too many Stalkers, blink microing away, and Slayer's Koka has lost almost everything and will probably lose this base again.
He could not make sure that Oz was not blinking under the Brood Lords. The position was not perfect, and even though the Fungals hit, they were already too late. Oz was in position to snipe the Brood Lords. There were only 5 of them. And this is now the momentum that Oz needed in order to get into this game, in order to just roll over his opponent. I don't think that Koka at this point has the production to take this down. He's trying once again, even pulling his probes from the 3rd base. That might help him a little bit, but will it be enough?
This is the last stand of Koka. If he doesn't succeed right here, he will lose the game, but it looks like the last of the roaches will fall, and it will only be a smorgasbord of drone flesh for those Stalkers from here on out. Ladies and gentlemen, FXO Oz comes off of the defeat of his teammate to take 2 wins off of Slayers. It is all but inevitable now as Oz marches into that 3rd base and starts killing the last remaining remnants of Koka's economy.
I was very, very impressed by Koka's game here, but Oz is just a little bit better today. He was able to take down Koka here, and well, after the 4th base was gone, this was kind of game deciding already. 3 base against 3 base with this huge army for Oz. It's not a good situation for Zerg. So yeah, Oz takes it, and I think he feels quite relieved because this looked very, very grim at times. And still, one of the most deciding factors in the entire game were those Overlord kills. When the first attack of Oz hit, the Overlord kills that completely supply blocked Koka, where he could not rebuild his, or not just make his army just a tiny little bit bigger, and this is all that he actually needed. Just a few more units, and then he would have been able to take down every Stalker and save his 3rd.
He had close to 1,000 minerals. He had a lot of gas in the bank. If he'd had the supply and the larva, I'm not sure if he had larva at the time. I think he said he did, but if he'd been able to make those units,
20.
he did. Okay, so if that means he could have had 10, 15 more roaches, and that would have easily made the difference. 10, 15 more roaches would have held that off. Even some zerglings would have held that off.
Occupying the stalker as well, the roaches from the back that he is still had available, just would charge in there. So. Yeah, Koka got really, really unlucky here, but on the other hand, he played a great game, was able to come back. I loved this one single move where he just used the Baneling bombs, now delay his opponent and kill a ton of stalkers. It was very nice, and it was so close. It was really, really close. It was
pretty close.
Oz, in the end, takes the game nonetheless, was able to get, once again, this army that was able to beat Koka, and with a nice positioning, he blinked in with the stalkers right before the fungals hit, so could take down the Brood Lords, and he had the upgrade advantage the entire game. I think at the end he was on 3 attack upgrades against just +2 armor, and I'm not sure if the +3 attack upgrade for Koka actually finished before the fight. I don't think so.
I don't think they did. No, for the air units, no, they were not quite ready yet. Although props to Koka for upgrading his air units the whole game to make sure they were up near +3 at the end there when he wasn't even making air units. But
wasn't it the range upgrade? I might be wrong.
Oh.
Okay, so definitely a good game. We had a lot of entertaining matches
I might
today.
be wrong too. I might have just misread that. But yeah, we're going to find out who Slayers is going to send out next. And I'm thinking, I said this before, I still think so. I think Ryung is a good choice here. Ryung is a very strong player. And Oz, his weakness in the past has been versus Terran players. Although his recent losses to Terrans have all been versus MMA. So, you know, MMA is a very strong player as well.
And I liked how Slayers faked us out earlier with MMA is just standing out and then passing it over. Oh, it's pretty cool.
Those crazy guys and their shenanigans. Yeah, I'm really curious to see who they send out next, though. They could surprise us as well. They could send out, well, I was going to say Crank, but he's a Protoss player, I believe, so maybe that wouldn't be the best idea. But, you know, they could send out someone else that we haven't seen yet.
Oz is a little bit, well, not weak, but his weakest matchup is the matchup against Terran, so we'll see if that plays a role. And lately, a lot of Terran players have been struggling against Protoss so much, especially when it ends up to be a late game. Protoss seems to win a lot more games as soon as the game goes into the long macro game. But, well, we'll see who Slayer is going to send out. They certainly have a lot of Terran players that they could send out, so...
We're going to find out. There's some kind of...
commotion going on.
Commotion going on behind us right now. We're going to check out a little bit of a replay here.
And there we see the blink. The Broodlords just tried to move in there. He should have positioned them on the high ground.
He gets his Broodlords out a little bit too far, and Oz takes this opportunity right there.
Yeah, he misses it with the Infestors. The Infestors are not in position, and the Broodlords are too far to the right side of the screen, so suddenly he just blinks in, and at this point it was already losing battle. He needed these Broodlords. He was waiting for them, and he lost the game at this point. But the thing is, once again, we have a ton of resources for Koka, and if Oz would have waited any longer, Koka would have been able to get a lot more units into the picture, and then he wouldn't have stood a chance, in my opinion. So very nice decision to attack right here. He saw an opportunity and he took it.
I also think that the Infestors, they put out a ton of infested Terrans, most of which died before hatching. And I think it might have been a little bit better to use some fungals, especially on those sentries. Just takes a few fungal growths to kill off all those sentries, and he had a lot of energy in those Infestors. It might have been put to better use that way.
But you can just make sure that they tank the damage a little bit. So you have those units that are for a second a little bit more protected. If they actually hatch, they do a lot of damage as well. Infested Terran have quite the high DPS. So he actually used both, which with the amount of Infestors that he had, I think it was actually okay. Because he had how many? 12 at the end?
He had like 14 or 15 Infestors.
Yeah, so if he would have tried to fungal, the problem is if you just miss a few of the Stalkers and suddenly he blinks in and only snipes like 3 of your Infestors, it's already a decent trade, depending on the amount of Stalkers that you blink in. And we have a map that is pretty nice for Terran, by the way, coming up. We have Dual Sight.
Dual Sight. Just for Wolf, they decided to go with Dual Sight to go against the Protoss player. And who are they going to send out? And it's going to be Ryung, as he yawns and stretches to get off the bench here. always looking very laid back. A wise choice, in my opinion, to go for Ryung. And again, on dual site, a good map for Terran versus Protoss as well. And there he is, settling in. Remember, it's still just a score of 2-1. Anything can happen here, despite the fact that Oz has gotten 2 wins in a row. If Ryung wins right here, it's a tie ball game. It's still a tie matchup, and anything can happen at that point. Ryung is a very strong Terran.
And a tight match today in Team Battle is exactly what we expected when we started our cast. So
yeah,
Ryung is
all
in the booth preparing. He might have a quick break in order to give him time to set up his gear and get ready for his opponent.
It's all a setup for you know, the final match between Lenok and MMA at the very end, of course. So that's what we're all leading up towards.
Ryung's worst matchup is actually against Protoss, 43% win ratio. Yeah, and as I said, a lot of Protoss players have been struggling, sorry, the other way around, Terran players have been struggling against Protoss. But this map with dual side, they are just so very, very strong builds that you can execute. 1-on-1 being one of them, just one base play that is so strong against Protoss. And we'll have a 5-minute break, we'll give him time to set up the gear and everything, then we'll be back with the GSTL with Molotov and Caldo.
Vegas.